Welcome back to Rolando Estocada. My name is Rolando. For today's episode, we're going to be covering Sinawali 1.1. So in the earlier episodes where we talked a little bit about flow and we talked a little bit about the overall mechanics and achieving a state of ease and flow in movement, it is a very specific benchmark in achieving any sort of movement proficiency. The first one is to achieve a sense of ease, flow, and efficiency. So keep that in mind when reviewing the first episode on Sinawali. We are trying to achieve flow in those movements. In this episode, we're going to be covering some strategy. In this instance, we're going to be implementing some intermediate to advanced strategies and biomechanics as it relates to Felicissimo Dizon's Mohara. Full transparency, these Mohara movements applied to Sinawali are my own integration because Felicissimo Dizon, although he was an adept at Sinawali, did not favor Sinawali, and this is the reason that he provided my father. He said that it is not practical, A, to carry two sticks, or let alone, if you need to improvise weapons, find two sticks. However, in my Rolando Estocada curriculum in teaching Filipino martial arts, I like to teach Sinawali first to my students and my clients for this specific reason. It is important for us to understand the relationship between right and left because number one, that relationship creates an immediate access to ambidexterity. We know immediately how to train for right and left by using right and left. And it makes training fun because you can now use right and left. It is akin to trying to teach boxing by only teaching your students and clients how to punch with just one hand, or trying to teach Muay Thai with just one leg. Similarly, in Filipino martial arts, I personally do not subscribe to the idea of teaching just one side. I prefer teaching both sides, hence my emphasis on teaching Sinawali first. But there's a secondary reason for it. Once we have a student or a client who becomes familiar with the complexity of Sinawali with using two sticks, they are more easily integrated to some of the concepts and biomechanics of Mohara, specifically Kabilaan, because Kabilaan tends to follow the movement patterns, especially with a handoff between right and left. You can review this in my first Sinawali episode, where the hand movements in Sinawali actually mirror a lot of the Kabilaan movements single stick in Mohara. So that is the second reason for it. But the third reason for it is that added complexity in movement promotes better health as it relates to motor control. So definitely review the first episode of Sinawali for you to take a look at. So this episode is going to be more of the strategic application, and we're going to have a little bit more fun because there's going to be some flows to it that I think you're going to enjoy. So stick around, stay tuned. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Two is always better than one. Nothing makes you feel and look more like a badass than moving with elegant power than with two weapons. And no martial system does that better than the Filipino martial arts. In fact, I am of the opinion that you will not understand the deeper strategies and principles of Filipino martial arts without becoming absolutely proficient in Sinawali. All of the major principles of Filipino martial arts, Espada y Daga, the live hand, Panantukan, and Kabilaan all come alive with Sinawali. The classical Sinawali systems teach the grip so that they are in fact equal, so that when you strike with the right and strike with the left, they are of equal distance. The primary advantage is really in changing up the beats and the rhythm of the striking. In my Estocada system, what I've done is change the grip so that one stick is shorter than the other, while the other one is longer than the other. What this does is that with the right, we create a false sense of distance, while the left covers and actually strikes the opponent. We now add key strategies to this new system because beyond adding different beats and different rhythms, we are now applying deception and managing distance, angulation, and position with far more complexity and sophistication. For students and clients, this is an additional challenge by adding a layer of complexity to their movement quality because now they are also managing distance as well as using grip changes like dagdag bawas so that there is a better understanding of the dynamic nature of distance management, angling, and positioning. Exploring different grips allows for different applications, and this is a boon for the student or the client because now Sinawali allows them the opportunity to deep dive into their practice of the Filipino martial arts through the advanced applications of Sinawali. It is a challenge not only to their motor control abilities, but also to their self-awareness, which is a key component to innovation and creativity. By applying some of the Mohara strategies to Sinawali, it allows the practitioner to really go into a deep dive with Sinawali and deeper into their practice. They can start to explore these movements far more readily and allows for forgivable mistakes in ways that classical Sinawali does not. Although I teach classical Sinawali, I also encourage my students to really pursue this path as it relates to their double stick applications. Classical Sinawali is closer to pattern development and pattern recognition, like cob-cob, 4-count, 6-count, and payong patterns. What I encourage my students and clients to do is to utilize Sinawali as an opportunity for learning and development opportunities, meaning they can explore different grips, they can explore different distances. That way they can get to the key principles and the actual gist of Filipino martial arts. The Filipino martial arts is an exquisite system, an organized form of knowledge that really starts to get to the heart of what combative systems really are. It's really about distance, angulation, position, attributes, and timing. My favorite part to this approach is that it allows my students and clients to start to explore different strategies with different sides of their bodies, meaning their right and their left. Sometimes it can be a classical doble baston, but sometimes they can switch to the other side and now the right hand is dagdag bawas. Then the left hand acts as a shield. Then the left hand all of a sudden becomes a spear. Then the right hand becomes a stabbing motion. And then it's a longer weapon and then it becomes a shorter weapon. Then it becomes a shield again. Then it becomes sword and shield. These changes in strategies propels the practice beyond the theoretical. We are now putting it in the realm of application as it improves the students and clients' motor control capabilities and their ability to further explore strategies that are normally isolated in a single stick environment. They are now being allowed the opportunity and the multiple options to explore them in a highly complex environment. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I really hope that this is something that you can start to implement in your practice, because this is something my students have really benefited from. Stick around, stay tuned, more videos to come.